Okay, so we just saw the first episode of the Castlevania Netflix cartoon series, and it was almost
Episode 1.
exactly what I wanted.
Episode 1.
Episode 1, the first episode.
Goat fucker, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the title.
So this is the show by Warren Ellis that you said was rumored to be...
Well,
give me some history behind this.
Okay, so years ago, and I'm thinking maybe a decade, if not more ago, Warren Ellis was contracted to write the screenplay for a animated Castlevania movie based off of Dracula's Curse.
Okay, so based off the third Castlevania game.
Yeah, and at the time I was kind of following it because he had it on his blog, just like tracking like the progress of the script and the production of the film and whatnot. And it went through eventually like becoming one movie to becoming two movies, and it went from like it was going to be a direct-to-DVD thing to becoming released theatrically, and then it's like, hey, I'm done with the script for the first movie, and I'm going to be working on the second one while they're working on the animation side of things, and here are a few concept art. So like he kind of like became like the outlet for all the information on this, and then like everything died. Like, everything just, like, disappeared. Like, nothing came of it. So, flash forward, and, what's his name? Adi Shankar, I think his name is the producer. Okay. He did that Power Rangers, that really, like,
I always...
brutal adult
yeah, I
Power
wanted to
Rangers
see
thing.
that, but I forgot about that. Wow, I need to see that.
And he said that he was doing Castlevania, and it was going to be based off Dracula's Curse. And then I randomly read that Warren Ellis is writing the script. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, geez, I wonder how much of this is going to be from the script of that first animated film. And we were joking because I was telling you about this big thing, and it was like it was a thing like he had to address on his blog. Like there was apparently like a goat fucking scene, and he had to like explain like, no, there's no actual fucking of goats. They just talk about it at one point, something about fucking goats in a bar, and I just found it so goddamn hysterical. And then lo and behold, it happens.
Well, she fucks me, don't she?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the episode, they start talking about goat fucking.
Yeah, to sum up, I absolutely loved everything I saw until the end of the episode. That I was just like, huh, you could have cut it off a little earlier there.
Well, you know what that is?
So the nice thing about this episode is it really focused on Dracula. Like, before the events even begin, like, Trevor shows up at the very end. This is basically Dracula's story and Lisa, correct?
And Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa. This is their romance coming to be, and then how he waged war on humanity, basically.
Stolen from him, and how it kind of turned
and like
sour.
we've heard this so many times in Castlevania games of how whoever his wife is, it keeps changing, but whoever his wife is, like her death caused his wrath.
Yeah.
But to actually see it happen and why, like it added more character to Dracula, who's usually just the devil himself.
Yeah, he's
for
the
like
devil,
the final boss.
He's just the guy sitting in the chair at the end of
guy,
the story.
the brooding guy in the chair who's always
Belmont.
like to actually see the son of a bitch cry bloody tears. Like, I felt for the bastard.
Like, I think that's the coolest thing, is just like, you know, and we're gonna have to see how it goes over the next few episodes, but the pacing of this seemed a little weird to me, because at first, like, you have that opening bit where he meets her and cuts to her being burned
to the stake,
to the stake, and then it goes to the opening credits, and in the opening credits you kind of see these flashes of things that have happened along the way,
like Alucard seeing his mother burn in front of him,
watching his mother burn, and like you catch a glimpse of like Trevor, like with whatever that scar that he has at the end, like freshly cut. Like, so you're seeing glimpses in that opening credits sequence of like.
Hopefully, it shows up in the other 3 episodes.
Well, when I was thinking, it's just like, okay, so there's our backstory for Dracula. The rest of the episode, we're gonna have our introduction to Trevor.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. They focused more on Dracula and the fact that it's just like, then he realizes that Lisa's dead. And at first, I'm thinking to myself, well, why wouldn't they just move on and just like introduce us to Trevor? And then it's just like, well, if this is going to be for more than just Castlevania fans, then I guess that they need that explanation.
Yeah.
But after I got through that initial jarring thing, it's just like, oh, we're gonna focus on Dracula a bit more. It's just like, it's really fucking good stuff.
Good. And the guy who plays Dracula, Graham McTavish, he did Lazarevich in Uncharted 2. He was Dwalin in the Hobbit movies, and
is that who that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I know him the best from is, did you ever see the Rambo movie just called Rambo? It's actually the 4th. He's the guy that goes, "You're the boat, man. You stay on the fucking boat." That was Graham McTavish. That was the first movie I ever saw Graham in, and I've seen so many movies since. That's the role that I will always know Graham from.
Oi, boatman. How much longer in this ancient piece of shit?
But he's Dracula, and he's excellent.
He's good. He's real good.
He's menacing. He's sympathetic. He's deep. He's complex. It's just like, all right.
At first, I didn't know what I was gonna think, because it's just like they open up with Lisa going into the castle, and like the first lines of dialogue are like weirdly very weirdly recorded gasps. And all I'm thinking to myself is did we just get people to voice this who aren't actually voice actors? Like, I was really concerned for a few seconds, but then they start talking with each other and they have this nice back and forth, and it's just like, oh cool, they're actually getting me to care a little about Dracula a bit. And when we were watching the episode, and you know, he comes upon his wife's house, and you know, it's on, you know, it's been burnt down, and he starts crying, and that was a good pull with the bloody tears thing,
bloody tears.
I didn't think of that at first. I'm just like, oh my god, like the animation and just like his acting.
The animation in this is fantastic.
Oh, the animation is
absolutely
really
great.
Good, really good.
Like the music seems more Lords of Shadow. Like maybe we can get some hints of Castlevania. Castlevania has such a huge, broad soundtrack,
I mean,
but
this is just one episode.
I know we're not going to hear classical tunes, but maybe we'll hear something.
I know this is just
I'm keeping my ears open.
But at the same time, like, the only thing that stood out to me was the opening credits. Like, as it stands right now.
It sounded very like, Lords of Shadow like.
Like, it was very epic and grand, and just like, you know, we're obviously painting a picture that's not so simple black and white like the old games. We're going into that gray area like the Lords of Shadow games.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm fine with that, but you do make a very good point. Like, even the Lord of Shadow games like had some half decent, well, the first game had some half decently good music that was still Castlevania-esque. And I kind of hope to see more of that, because as it stands right now, like, the soundtrack is the one thing that's lacking for me.
It makes me feel more like this could have been from Dracula Untold. This could have been from Solomon Kane. All the other things that we think, oh, I guess this is the closest thing I'm getting to a Castlevania film adaptation.
We're never getting a good Castlevania.
So now that we finally have something that's actually has the title Castlevania, I'm just like, all right.
I'm hoping we go from 3 to 4 Castlevania things that are really, really good. Like, besides games, I'm talking like 4 good Castlevania movies.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I like Solomon Kane.
It's fun to watch. I'll give it that.
We're watching Solomon Kane, and all we're talking to each other is just like, my God, this is a Castlevania movie.
The guy's like just pure Gabriel.
He's pure Gabriel. We're watching Dracula Untold in theaters. And he's got that bat hand. It's just like
Lords of Shadow 2.
This is Lords of Shadow 2.
I just saw the trailer and said, I'll be taking this.
And let's not forget the first Castlevania movie.
Van Helsing?
Van Helsing.
So, I'm like, do we still classify that? We've kind of grown up a bit since that. Do we still
No, that is...
We still consider that a Castlevania?
That's the most Castlevania of all of them.
In a way.
It's got all the monsters, and it's got music to boot, and Hugh Jackman looks like a Belmont.
Yeah. It was Lords of Shadow before Lords of Shadow. Represent.
No, Van Helsing was the closest to the classic Castlevania you could get. Okay, that was as close as you're getting.
It reminded me of 4 in some aspects, yeah.
Kind of. It's nice to be able to see a real Castlevania.
Yeah.
That's actually Castlevania, that feels like Castlevania, and they're taking those brief strips of lore that were in the games and expanding on it, because, like...
Well, I think that Dracula's Curse is, like, the best one they could start off as, like, a starting point, because it can be both an origin story and just a solid Castlevania. Like, it's the most familiar to Castlevania fans with a story to use. You can't really use the original Castlevania because it's just two characters. It's more of a game. The same way with the original Legend of Zelda and most of the Zelda games, or Mario. However, with Castlevania 3, there's a bit of a backstory. You
have that on
and because they used things from Symphony of the Night already and other Castlevania games with aspects of,
I thought that was a good idea.
Lords of Shadow. Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Because that's one of those things
how you make
just like
Dracula just more than just the king of evil.
The guy in the chair at the end.
Yeah, the guy
end of it
making him more than just, oh, he's the bad guy of this. No, I'd say the bishop's the bad guy.
I really want to know where that's going.
Dracula might just be a neutral party.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. The bishop is the absolute worst thing in this entire thing. Say what you will.
I can't hear what he's saying.
Say what you will about the goat fucking. I can't understand the bishop whatsoever. We actually had to turn up the volume, and I'm like doing this number the entire time. Just say what again? Like you're burning somebody at the stake, and
he just drank to his friend. Who talks like this? He strokes every hair on his body.
But, I mean, it'd be interesting to see where they go with that, because I can kind of, like I said, I like how they're taking those lore bits and expanding on it, and they're kind of playing with the idea of morality here.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how this ties in, because, like, at the end of the episode, they mention, you know, like, the rich families, the old families, and the guy's, like, going on about how, like, oh, the Draculas, that's an old family. And then he mentions the Belmonts, and I'm wondering, like,
Trevor's reaction was very like, that's not how I would picture Trevor. But then again, I only remember Trevor's character from Curse of Darkness, where he's just a real bastard.
Yeah, where he's
just really grumpy.
Well, it makes me wonder too, just like, because I was thinking about this the entire time. You know, like the first game, or not the first game, excuse me, Dracula's Curse has that opening, if you let it sit there, where it's like the film strip going up.
Yeah.
And it's silly when you read it in the game, and you just think like, oh, it's the Nintendo era or whatever. But like, it talks about how like, the people of Wallachia, like, banished the Belmonts.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they found a mighty warrior, Trevor, from the Belmont family to take on Dracula. It's just like, are they playing up that aspect? Just
maybe.
Like, oh, that just throwaway line, like because how it's worded, I think, is they ask them to leave when it's clearly just like, no, you fucking banished them.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Do you think maybe they're like, that's like a thing? Just like, no, they just like, because somewhere along the line, like fighting vampires and creatures of the night, like they started like dabbling in that aspect of like what they feel is black magic. Like, we're all very established in here that like Lisa, they burned at the stake because she was a witch, but meanwhile she's just a doctor.
Yeah.
And Dracula's a man of science too. It's just like, maybe just like the fact that the Belmonts had a different way of doing things rather than the church. Yeah. They were straight up like
different from the church.
They got knocked. They got knocked down. Like the whole family got just like, they had their title stripped away from them.
Yeah, that's possible.
They banished them from the country. So that would make sense why Trevor's
kind of like, oh shit,
in a bar getting drunk, not fighting vampires, and somebody's complaining about the Belmont family. He's just like, ah, shit, I just wanted the drink.
See, the way the events are going, I have a feeling like the next episode is going to be the start of Dracula's Curse, with like him taking down the monsters.
You think?
It's possible.
I don't know.
We might have a bit more character before that, but I think we're getting close to it. Because it's like, monsters are coming, and like they're going on their rant, and then he mentions the Belmont, and he's like, ah, shit.
Oh god. Not to jump around, but just like when Dracula comes back to the city after the year, and his face just emerges out of the clouds all dark red, and the bishop's just like, everything's fine, the weather report is sunny and bright.
There seems to be blood in this rain.
I was like, wait a second, I called for sunny skies. He's not an archbishop, he's the fucking weatherman.
The one guy's kind of sitting there like, I guess this is on the forecast. Oh well.
But Dracula comes out of the sky and just like, he unleashes all the monsters. It is like the greatest, like,
it was a highlight of the episode.
2 minutes of the episode, just right there, is just when he completely slaughters that town.
Because like they actually showed it, because they cut when he goes after Alucard. Like you just see a slash, and it's just like, I guess
fuck. that was a nice setup too. It's just like, you don't know how that went down. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I'm just thinking back to the game, like, Dracula's Curse. I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
game. It's just like you have to, like in the game, Trevor has to find all three of his companions.
Yeah.
And like you had to fight the Cyclops to get Sypha. I'm wondering if we're gonna get the Cyclops in here, but like you fight.
I wonder if the Skull Knight's gonna show up soon.
You fight Alucard.
Yeah, you fight Alucard.
Like in like some cave system before he's willing to join you.
Yeah, so he's
Just
probably
like,
gonna be on the fence.
But that raises the question of like, why was he down there in the first place? It's just like I think like, oh my god, they like kind of set it up just like he's down there because he's healing because he already tried to fight his father and he can't do it alone.
Yeah.
We'll see. We got
We
three
shall
more
see.
episodes.
We got 3 more
of this fucker.
episodes, but it's off to a good start with the exception of like that little end tag.
Oh my god, the goat fucking.
Because
the goat fucking.
Because it ends on what I thought was a perfect way to end it, and then it kept going.
Yeah,
and
he's just like he sends out his minions in the night, and you think that's gonna be the end of the
You see him
episode.
like in the clouds. He's kind of like formed from either the bats or something
the bats,
like that.
yeah, and it's swirling around the castle, which is the castle. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, the castle's
It
great.
looks so
Looks right out of Symphony of the Night.
Oh my god, and it's just like this tornado of bats just forming in his face, and he's like, "Go, my children."
And it fades, and I'm like, that felt like
it's
25
just
minutes.
like,
that was
damn,
pretty good.
that's good.
And then it kept
And
rolling. I'm just like, hey, I'm not
oh
going to
wait,
stop
no,
you
we're
now.
not done.
And then we hear their
Because we
story.
need to talk about the goat fucking. And this brings up my thing about the pacing again that I was talking about. Like, because again, you'd think that would just be a natural place to end the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, we'll introduce Trevor in the next episode.
Yeah,
So like
that's what I assumed.
I keep thinking like where we're gonna introduce Trevor is not where we're introducing Trevor. But they bring up this thing about the goat fucking, and I keep bringing up goat fucking because, like, I mean, it was a thing. Like with that original animated project they were doing was the goat fucking. Like Warren Ellis had to come out and be like, no, it's just a fucking conversation that gets talked about in a bar. It's not vital to the plot. And they end this first episode on it. It's all I'm thinking about is the goddamn goat fucking.
So, before we close and move on to watching the second episode, would you recommend this for both Castlevania fans and, like, who would you recommend this to?
From just an initial viewing, I think this is good for Castlevania fans because I feel like so far it's just like, you know, we're sitting here and it's just like we're getting giddy just watching Dracula's powers and whatnot. You know, just watching him go at it and, you know, seeing the destruction.
You actually see him in
like,
action.
it's like I'm
showing, not telling.
and then just enough bit of that lore from the games. It's just like it's pulling at our fan heartstrings. So far after one episode, I can suggest it for fans.
Now, if someone never played Castlevania
who's never played Castlevania before, I feel that there's enough here to be a good introduction to people. But I would honestly have to say, because like this is all first act stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't even first act because we haven't been
No, it's
introduced
more
to
like-
our main character.
This was mostly just Dracula's backstory as to why this stuff is happening.
As it stands right now, the only person that I can suggest this to is fans.
Yeah.
After 2 episodes, because I'm like I was saying, I'm thinking like this might actually just be the script for the first of the 2 animated films they were originally doing like a decade ago. I'm thinking that's all this is. It's that script. I'm really starting to think that.
Oh, so like, the majority of it is just that script. Nothing new.
I'm
nothing
thinking.
different, nothing.
I'm thinking that might, and that might be why I'm like so like. The pacing seems weird here because it should be a 2-hour movie rather than 4 30-minute episodes.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you now.
So I'm thinking like we'll have to see
So
how
this is a super chopped up movie trying
Yeah.
to fit into 4 episodes.
Yeah.
God, I hope we have a season 2.
Well, they already announced.
Oh, so that thing's official?
That's already taken care of. Like, they announced it the same day
So
they
it's
released.
let's see how season 2 goes, and then we'll see if maybe
Yeah.
we'll dive into the stories of Symphony of the Night and the Sorrow games and. God.
But as it stands right now, I can only suggest this to the fans. We'll have to see how episode 2 goes.
When it comes to video game adaptations, I think this is one of the best things I've seen so far.
So far.
And I've seen things like
we're only
close.
1 episode down.
I know.
We got 3 more episodes of goat fucking to go. And I swear to God, if the next episode doesn't start with goat fucking, I'm done. It's simple as that. We need goat. So I'm gonna give this a goat fucking out of 10.
Goat fucking out of 10. Why would you bring that back?